think I'm good. What's up, everybody? What's up? Guys, we are going to be hearing from the commander-in-chief himself, Mr. Joe Biden. Mr. Joe Biden is going to be coming on, going to be doing his press conference. Should be starting in about T-minus 10 minutes. I don't know if you guys saw my promo video, but I was at the beach an hour ago. I was at the beach and I left the beach to come here to listen to Joe Biden. You are watching Status Coup. I am Ron Placone, your host. Jordan Sheraton is out of commission for a little bit. We wish him and the family all the best. And Colin's on the ones and twos. He's going to be man in the stream. Smash the like button. Smash, 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 smash. Tell your friends. You're going to watch Biden's press conference anyway, aren't you? Come watch it with me. Tell your friend. Watch it with Ron. Is he going to step down? Maybe. Probably not. That's but you know what? I'm going to stop talking. Not literally stop talking, but stop talking about that because I want you guys to vote in the poll, and that's going to be our poll. Colin's going to drop it right now. Is it ready, Colin? Can we go ahead with the poll?
Yeah, I just dropped it.
Oh, snap. So the poll is he going to step down? It's not impossible. I don't think it's that likely. I don't want to influence anyone's vote. I don't think it's super likely, but go ahead and make a vote there. Let's see here. Hello, Chris Garrett. What's up? Suzanne, how are you? What's up, Simon? What's up, Adria? Good to see you. What's up, Lee? What's up, Gorgeous? Hope I'm saying that right. Ciao, Hole, come stai? Sta bene oggi? What's up, John? What's up, Automation? What's up, Clowny666? How are you? What's up, Jay? What's up, Teresa? Good to see everybody. Good to see everyone today. And thank you so much to Laura Baza for tipping us $2 over on the Rockfin. Thank you so much for that Rockfin tip. And guys, if you're able, please do leave a super chat. Lucy wants some attention. I'm going to go ahead and pick her up. So she's going to say hello. You get to see, I feel like bringing Lucy on the camera before Joe Biden. That's like having the headliner go on before the opening act. You know? She's the coolest. We took a little power nap together today. I was working a writing gig, and it was time for my break. And Lucy knew. Usually, I take a break around the same time every day. Lucy knew it was time, and so she just kind of said, "Hey, let's lay down. I know what time it is. Let's do this." And I said, "Sure," because she's the best. There she goes. She's over it now. She's done. She's like, believing. By the way, I should have some for all you cat people, or if you just like cats. Maybe you're not a cat person, but you just like cats. I should have some news in that area very soon. If you are one of my patrons, you already know the news. It's not public information yet. Patrons know already. So if you want to find out immediately, go over to patreon.com/RobLacody. You could sign up for a Give What You Can level. Even $1 a month goes a long way. I'm so sorry to hear that. That one dude. I'm so sorry. Yeah, my condolences. That's really tough. I'm sorry to hear that. Sending you all the best wishes, and giving you good vibes and good feelings during this troubled time. It's so hard. And thank you very much, Teresa. Thank you very much for the super chat contribution. Lucy says meow. I say hello. Good to see you, Teresa. Thank you guys so much for your support. All right. And so go ahead and vote in that poll. We'll reveal the results right before it starts, and then we'll let you vote throughout as well. Although if he makes the announcement one way or the other, I guess you can't vote. That'd be kind of, there's a good chance the first thing he'll say is, "I'm staying in. Don't even ask." Isn't it amazing that just a stubborn old person can just hold an entire government /country /world hostage? This totally has the vibes of someone has to tell grandpa he can't drive anymore. And grandpa's refusing to drive, even though a lot of people could get killed. even though a lot of people could get killed. Grandpa's still refusing to give up that driver's license. I want to see Biden step down. And when I say this, I know full well they're not going to replace him with someone any better. I know that. I don't dispute that. But I want to see him step down just so we can continue to entertain the facade that this whole thing isn't a complete and utter scam. But you know what? It's still going to be a scam because even if he does step down, which again, I still hope he does, but even if he does, it's going to be because the donors made him. At the end of the day, he doesn't care if he goes on to lose. The Democratic Party doesn't care that much if he goes on to lose. I mean, because it'll be great fundraising for them if he does. It's just, do the donors want to see a Democrat in the White House for the next 4 years? I think a lot of them do. A lot of donors want Trump too, because Trump will uphold their interest as well, and he'll do it even more so. But sometimes even the oligarchs don't want the chaos that might come with Trump. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them want it really bad. Go ahead and look at Project 2025. Some of them, they want it more than anything, like the Koch brothers, the Heritage Foundation. They really want Trump. But others, they'd rather just have nothing will fundamentally change in there. Nothing will fundamentally change. But I'm curious what might happen. What's up, Sandra? You might be new here. I'm not a fan of RFK. I know some people are. I try not to be overly judgmental. My big thing why I'm not a fan of RFK is because I got tricked once before. I got tricked before in the past. I got tricked by Tulsi Gabbard. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So I don't think RFK is what he pretends to be. He's been a right-wing Democrat his entire life, never missed an opportunity to endorse a Clinton. He's an imperialist. He's a warmonger. He doesn't support Medicare for all. He doesn't support climate change action. He has no plan for the working class whatsoever other than outdated policies that were relevant about 10 to 15 years ago. He has close ties and financing from Wall Street. Yes, he does. And he just basically is enjoying his 15 minutes of fame because he spreads anti-science, cherry-pick nonsense. And that's my take on him. I just think he's a narcissist trying to get his 15 minutes of fame. I feel you. Neither am I because of his Gaza stance. Also political dynasties. I feel like there's a lot of other reasons to not like that guy too, but his Gaza stance is pretty terrible. That was what I lumped that in with the whole imperialist stuff. So I'm not a fan of RFK. Some people disagree with my assessment. To each their own. I have some friends who like RFK, and I always just say, I don't think he is what you think he is. And it's the same thing my friends said to me when I thought Tulsi Gabbard was anti-war and the real deal. They said, Ron, she's not what you think she is. And I was like, no, I think she is. And a couple years later, I said to those friends, you were right. I got that one wrong. I didn't support Tulsi Gabbard. I supported Bernie, but I liked Tulsi Gabbard. I was hoping she was going to be Bernie's running mate. She revealed herself to be a total fraud in every sense of the word, to the nth degree. And boy, I'm glad I never voted for her, but boy, did I have egg on my face. And so I proceed with even more caution than I did a couple years ago. Is it time, Colin? Is it? I don't want to be babbling and then we miss it. Is it?
Yeah. Well, let me refresh it here to make sure.
All right. In the meantime, another breaking thing here. Rest in peace, Shelley Duvall. Yeah. I saw that today. It's just a bummer. She was a phenomenal actress, most famously known for The Shining, and she was great. And then she didn't do a ton after that. She did some other stuff. She did. Was it Golden Girls or something like that? I should just Google it. I really should. I shouldn't just try to go by memory of someone's resume right after they passed. But yeah, I know she was having some health issues. The Shining, definitely. Oh, she was in Nashville, the TV show Nashville. And she was in McCabe and Mrs. Miller, not familiar with that. Thieves Like Us. She did some Saturday Night Live stuff back in the 70s. Shining was her big moment. She was in Popeye, which I mean, I feel like olive oil is a perfect role for her. Yeah, she was great. After The Shining, she kind of wanted to lay low a little bit, so she did. She kind of lived a very quiet life, and that was by choice. Some people were like, "Oh, why did you leave showbiz when you were such a star?" And she just wanted something else. She just wanted to have a more peaceful life, so she did some acting when she wanted to, and other than that, she kind of stayed out of the public spotlight. I don't know a whole lot about her other than that. But it looks like she was married to Dan Gilroy. Did not know that. Um, yeah, she was in. She lived in Texas towards the end. Yeah, great actress. Rest in peace. Thank you for mentioning that. I don't know anything about her music. That's interesting. I'm not familiar with her music. I don't know a whole lot about. I think I've mentioned that about 5 times. I don't know a whole lot about her. Hey, Ron, do you know a lot about her? No, I don't. But great. I mean, her performance in The Shining was just amazing. Such a brilliant film. Jack Nicholson crushes it. Yeah. Smash that like. Thank you, that one dude. Smash that like for Russ. Smash the like button. If you have any super chats, we will get to them. Yeah, we will get to your super chat. What's up, Zainab? How are you? I haven't seen you in a long time. The press conference has not started yet, but Colin is refreshing on the ones and twos. And Colin, I'll mention this now. When it is starting, just go ahead and start it. You don't need to wait for me to finish speaking or whatever. Just start that freaking thing, and we'll know. Because we wouldn't want to miss any of Joe Biden's not sentences. We wouldn't want to miss a thing. Do I think Biden will be juiced? I don't think so. Oh, you mean like will he? Oh yeah, he'll be on some kind of upper. I thought you meant like will he be like Nick's like there, and I'm like I don't think so. But vote. Don't let me influence your vote. You go ahead and vote. But I don't think he's good. Will he be juiced as far as like some kind of upper or something? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, he'll be on something. There's no doubt. They'll give him whatever he had in that one debate with Bernie where he had a good showing. Let's see here. Oh, they pushed it back again? Jesus. That's amazing. Someone's saying they pushed it back, which that's terrible. Yeah, we're still
Wait
talking
for his
RFK.
big boy press conference for his like first backing of to show
Yeah.
he's all okay.
Well, that confirmed? Is it officially 30 minutes
I
later?
don't know about that, but
Okay.
I'm looking it up right now.
All right. RFK says Kiska, there's a new book called Ask Not. It was just released. It's all about how the Kennedys abused women in their lives. The info on RFK Jr. is shocking, even for that family. Yeah, I mean, that's another big red flag about the guy. He is a Kennedy, even though his family can't stand him, and they're actually right in their reasoning. But yeah. At first I kind of thought all that speculation about him was just because there wasn't a whole lot of talk about it. But the way he he didn't deny it. The way he responded to it kind of made me think it's probably all legit. When he was asked, I think it was the Crystal and Sagar show. I think I'm saying his name wrong. I apologize. But I think Sagar asked him about it, Sagar, and the way he responded to that. I don't know if you guys saw that clip, but the way he responded to that, I thought this guy's guilty. Yeah. This guy's guilty. So I don't know. That was a weird response. If you were innocent, that was a weird freaking response. The response he gave where he was like, I wasn't a Boy Scout. I'm not going to comment on it. Okay. Sagar. Oh, wow. I did like 3 guesses. They were all freaking wrong. Sagar. I remember I disagreed with something he posted on Twitter once, and a lot of people got mad at me for that. And it wasn't even about something like super significant. It was about airport etiquette. I like disagreed with something he said, and I responded to it. And someone got really, really mad that I dared dispute something he said. So I don't know. I mean, I know he's kind of like he's on the right, correct? So I guess maybe he attracts a more boisterous fan base typically. I don't know. I don't know if that's even true, but yeah. Double K, thank you so much. Thank you very, very much for your super chat contribution. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Double K. And thank you, Sumud Sterling. Thank you so much, Sumud Sterling, for your membership. Falastine, hurrah, hurrah. Hoserus Vergaza Meow, F America. I hear ya. Falastine, hurrah, hurrah, which would make a great rally song, I think. And again, thank you to Laura over on the Rockfin. Rockfin's, I don't know how active the Rockfin is. I don't get a whole lot of engagement on the Rockfin. I feel like it's been overrun with spam bots. But yeah, for everyone holding down the fort over on the Rockfin, I know some people prefer it, and that's cool. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Leave me a super chat. I will get to it. You know how it goes. You know how it goes. We're waiting for Joe Biden to have his big moment in the sun. All right, let's go to some of the articles we have, Colin. I know we have a couple things that are floating in the ethers that are relevant to the press conference that Biden's just going to give us when he feels like it. Isn't it great? What a democracy we have. Hey, the two candidates decided they guess they're going to give you a debate. They thought it over and they decided out of the goodness of their heart they're gonna give you a debate. Hey, the leader of the free world, who is showing all of the symptoms, who is showing. I mean, we covered it on this show where that Parkinson's expert was talking about. Yeah, these are all the symptoms of Parkinson's, which I didn't even know. By the way, I didn't really know until that hit what all the symptoms of Parkinson's are. But that guy was saying how these are all the symptoms. I thought he was displaying symptoms of something like dementia or something like that. And honestly, and I'm not trying to be funny when I say this. I'm just being totally honest, and I'm not trying to be insensitive when I say this, but the way he was up on that debate stage literally reminded me of family members of mine when they were dying from dementia. I mean, I'm not trying to in any way be sarcastic when I say that, in any way be disparaging. I'm not trying to speak ill about anyone. It just honestly, that's what he reminded me of. He reminded me of family members of mine who have passed, and they passed from Alzheimer's. Despush Fleisch, what's up? I believe Biden will step down eventually, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they are degenerate enough to keep him. Yeah, pretty much. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Some of you guys are mentioning dementia. Some of you guys are mentioning Parkinson's. What's up, Fiona? Good to see you. Zainab, I disagree with the elder abuse thing. I know some people say that, and I get it. I disagree with the elder abuse thing. And the reason I disagree with that is because I think that he is just lucid enough that he knows what he's doing and he knows what he did. He was definitely with it enough to know what he was doing in 2020. He knew Biden's legacy is going to be failing up into the presidency and denying us a transformational presidency. Bernie Sanders, with all of his faults, and believe me, Bernie's done tons of things that have ticked me off as of recent, especially. But Bernie Sanders, even with all his faults, would have been a transformational presidency. It would have been the most transformational presidency we've had since FDR. And there's a good chance we'd all have health care because he could have given us all health care via an executive order. Yes, he could have. That's a thing that the president can do in a time of crisis, which COVID was. So yeah, I'm kind of a little like I don't. go with the elder abuse thing because I think no, he is in no way a victim. He is in no way a victim. Um, but yeah. And I guess he's gonna give us this press conference that it's his job. He's only the president. He's only the leader of the free frickin' world. He only has his hands on all the nukes that could blow our planet to oblivion. We can't expect him to do a press conference. Let's go to one of the articles, Colin. We might as well. While we're waiting, Biden should provide evidence he can beat Trump. Democratic leaders say so. Even the Dem leaders are starting to turn on him. Did you guys see that? What's that ridiculous Pod Save America? Pod Save America is getting the quote Bernie bro treatment now. Did you see that? Because they said they think Biden should step down, and a bunch of DNC loyalists went nuts on them. The Democrat, it is a freaking cult. All right. It is a freaking cult and a half. And I would know, I used to be on the Stephanie Miller show. All right. Back when they still let lefties on that show, I was on the Stephanie Miller show sometimes. I can tell you what a fanatical cult DNC loyalists are. Democratic leaders called on President Biden in his campaign Wednesday to provide convincing evidence of a viable path to victory amid a steady tide of bad battleground state polling and growing concerns that he cannot defeat former President Donald Trump in November. The calls came as top union leaders, I think Sean Fain was among them, expressed grave concerns about his candidacy. More members of Congress and other Democrats called on him to step inside, and even members of Biden's senior campaign staff began to exchange doubt about his prospects. Well, his staff's asked him for other things before, and he's ignored them. So I don't know if that'll do anything. In a closed-door meeting Wednesday, some of the country's union leaders, many of whom are strident backers of Biden, said Americans' doubts about Biden's ability to do the job were damaging his candidacy and repeatedly asked Biden campaign officials for their plan to defeat Trump, according to two people familiar with their comments, who, like others for this story, spoke on the condition of anonymity to share private comments. Two of the most outspoken leaders were Sarah Nelson, president of the Association of Flight Attendants, and Sean Fain, president of the United Auto Workers, two of Biden's biggest labor allies. So we'll see what happens here, but he is losing support all over the place. By the way, guys, I'll announce this real quick before we continue. The domestic screenings for my movie Left at Wall are over, but stay tuned. England, I should have some news for you very, very soon. And London, mark September on your calendars. London, September. I should have official announcements very, very soon. But London, pencil in September 21st. Once all the dust is settled, I will let you know. But London, mark your calendar, September 21st. And guys, please, if you have not yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's just youtube.com/Ron Placone. They have regular podcasts on YouTube now. They did this because Google Podcasts went away. And now you can subscribe to podcasts right on YouTube. So if you're not listening to my podcast 1000, now you can do it right from YouTube. So check it out. It's the 1000 podcast with Ron Placone. It's an interview show. The concept of the show is I am interviewing 1,000 different people who have piqued my interest in some way. It might be a musician. It might be someone in the political space. It might be a policy activist. It might be an environmentalist. It might be an author, a comedian, an actor, an academic. I've had all of those things. Past guests have included Jello Biafra, Cory Doctorow, Dr. Gabriel Rockhill, Margaret Kimberly, Jill Stein. Margaret Killjoy was a recent guest. She's phenomenal. This week's guest was Mike Park. Mike Park is the owner of Asian Man Records, a legendary ska punk label. And I got to talk to him about one of my favorite albums in the frickin' world. So please, if you haven't yet, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out 1000. If you like punk rock music, if you like lefty politics, if you like hockey, if you like Italian culture, I interview a lot of Italian musicians, all kinds of stuff. Check it out. Jill Stein's been on the show. I already mentioned her as a past guest. Martin Barr from Jethro Tull was recently on the show. You get it. Check it out. 1000 with it's a fun podcast, I promise you. And it's different from the stuff I do here. Is it happening? What's he doing? What is he what is get Biden on the phone, Colin. Get him on the phone.
I
Is he on
doubt
the phone?
he's aware enough for the phone right now.
What's he doing? This
I
is
I haven't seen any official. Like I assume it's delayed a half hour or something, but I haven't. Unless I'm missing, I haven't seen anything official saying it. Like the YouTube channel just still says will begin shortly.
here. Let's do Biden press conference today. See what it says. All right, Biden. All right, so this is from 21 minutes ago. He's going to hold his first ever solo press conference. Yeah, it's still saying 6:30 Eastern. It's the AP live stream, which I'd imagine that's where Colin's hitting the refresh at. And yeah, still no Joe.
I'm actually using the official White House stream.
All right. I mean, I'm sure that's well. Here, let's see if AP's any different. I'll go ahead and click on this, and we'll see if it's any. Oh, wouldn't that be crazy if it's like? Yeah, it says we'll resume shortly. Biden expected to speak soon. I'll tell you what, though, the comments over here at the AP are epic. This is, man, what a comment section this is. If you want to lose all faith in humanity, go stream the AP on YouTube and look at the comment section. It'll make you for every reason, by the way. Can you guys hear the elevator music that's coming from my computer? I don't know if you can hear it or not. It's a banger. Maybe we can just rock out to the elevator music. Uh, let's see. Oh, what's up here? Let me close out of this. Yeah. Same deal over on the AP stream. What's up, Teresa? Ron, love the cow cat guy or squirrel bullfrog. Wait, what? Can't remember, but that show was fun. Oh man, I'm not sure what that is. Cow cat guy, squirrel bullfrog. What? Give me some more information, Teresa. What was the premise of the episode? I'm not cow cat guy. I'm not like it's not hitting me what that refers to, which guest that refers to. But I'm curious now. Cow cat squirrel bullfrog. Which guest was that? Which 1000 guest was that? I've had a lot of cat people, I know that. But Joe Biden has not done the show. Joe Biden not done the show. You know. So let's see. Let's go to the poll, Colin. Where are we at so far with the poll? Oh, you're talking about Go versus Fish, Teresa. Yeah, I just realized it. Go. So that guy was on. That guy was just on America's Got Talent. Go versus Fish. Watch his. If you go to YouTube and just type in Go versus Fish, America's Got Talent, you'll see his appearance. It's freaking epic. It's about what I expected. Guys, Google Goat versus Fish, America's Got Talent, or you can even go listen to the podcast episode first. And yeah, you can listen to the podcast episode first, and then you can watch it. No, I was Fish, Teresa. I was Fish. Yeah, I'm Fish because I love the beach. I love water. I like to travel. I'm a Sagittarius, although Go versus Fish said that astrology has nothing to do with what they do. So it's supposed to start now. It was supposed to start at 6:30 Eastern, and it's still not going.
It was originally supposed to start at 5:30 Eastern, and it was already delayed an hour.
Yep. Now
I
it's
still haven't
delayed.
seen an official update. They're just like, they'll figure it out.
This is a country that truly doesn't give two shits about you. They don't give. I mean, this is like, what the hell is this? What gives him this right? You guys know that elected officials are supposed to work for we the people. You know that, right? They're supposed to work for we the people. This is a good point. Can you imagine being this late to a minimum wage job? Can you imagine that? They'd probably fire you. They wouldn't pay you for it. That's for sure. Oh, now we got some theories going. He's going to bail. Oh, man. Oh, man. Now that what if he's the more likely scenario, he's having a nap. Uh, but, yeah, I don't know what he's doing. We're supposed to be responding to his ridiculous statements, whatever they are. He's supposed to let us know if he is in fact gonna continue being maybe, you know what? Here's something interesting. Maybe the reason he's late is because he is going to step down and he's just preparing for it. Because if he's not gonna step down, what the hell is he waiting for? If he is gonna step down, well, I get it. You kinda wanna make that memorable. If you're gonna step down, like, I'm sure he's not thrilled about it, so you wanna make that memorable. So, I think there's a chance maybe he is stepping down. Vote now. Vote now, vote now, vote now. Aw, thank you for this. Social emotion learning with Dr. Donnie. You so cute, Ron, so it's okay. Thank you so much for that social emotional learning. I appreciate that very much. I'm trying. Yeah, I try to be cute. I know, but my hair's a little. So here's the deal. I want to get a haircut. I'm about ready for it, but I'll let you guys in on this. I can't go into any details, but I'm shooting a movie right now. It's not like a major. It's it's just an indie film, but I'm shooting an indie film right now, and it's not like a super big budget thing. So all of the cast and crew has other obligations. They have other work, they have other gigs, stuff like that. So we're just kind of shooting a little bit at a time when everyone's available. And my character, all of his scenes are supposed to take place in one day. It's supposed to be one day. So if I got a haircut, it'd be very noticeable that wow, this guy got a haircut and then he didn't have the haircut a second time. That's really weird. How'd he do that? So I can't get my hair cut. But here's the other side of that is I'm worried my hair's going to be too long. I'm worried they're going to be like, wow, this guy's hair grew in a matter of 20 minutes. So, I even texted the director and I'm like, hey, what should I do about my, and they're like, just do whatever. Because really I'm overthinking it because the only scene we have left is an outdoor scene. So it's totally plausible that, oh, he wanted a shade, so he's wearing a hat. You know what I mean? I know. Are you gonna be there? Are you gonna be there, Teresa? Um, are you gonna be at the Lee Camp and Grail Melwood show? I might be. I just might be. Um, I don't know about that. I don't think so. There's a good chance I'm probably gonna be bald in the next 5 years, and I'm just gonna let it happen. I'm not gonna wear a beanie. Yeah, I'm just gonna let it happen. Who cares? I think bald is pretty cool, actually. I'm fine with it when it happens, or I will be fine with it. I mean, whatever. I had a good run with my hair, and hopefully I got some time left, but I'm thinking about 5 years. Although, you know what? I said that 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I said I'll probably be bald in 5 years. It's 5 years later, still got a full head of hair. In fact, I think it was more than 5 years ago, actually. But, yeah. No, it was now that I'm thinking about it, I think it was like 2018 or so. I said, I got about 5 years left. I'm still here. Yes, I can call myself Baldo Ronaldo. You gave your tickets away. Why'd you give your tickets away? Yeah, no worries. I'm not gonna do that, Adria. Not for me. Will there be lightsaber? I can't give anything away. It's not a Star Wars movie. I promise you that. But yeah. This is great. I was this late for band practice once because I shit my pants. Why'd you shit your pants right before band practice? What was going on? Was the band not for you? Were you like, I am so over this band, I'm just gonna shit myself? But oh no, Teresa, I'm so sorry. Oh, this is terrible. Teresa, I'm so sorry. Condolences for the death in your family. Condolences regarding your father, and I wish you all the best during this troubled time. Gee, there's there's some sadness in the stream today. Somebody lost a cat. Teresa just lost her father. That's really hard. Condolences, everybody. That's really, and just like any chat, we're gonna go back to the person that shit themselves. I was got to keep it light. Can't focus. Let's go to the person that shit themselves before band. You were nervous. Well, here's the $1 million question. Are you still in the band? Were you like, look, I shit myself for this band, and I feel like my guitar solo is adequate as a result. You let me stay in the band. Are you still in that band? Because that'd be epic if you're like, yeah, I'm still in the band, and I still shit my pants. We think it's a good luck thing now. Colin, what's up? Did you shit your pants before band practice?
I guess that's a good time. Was a good time to jump in. I was never in band actually, so.
Oh man!
Funnily enough,
if you got dreams,
I was in drama class. That was my
close enough. The same bickering exists coming from a guy who's been in both. Same bickering exists.
I was gonna.
So what's going on? Did Biden bail? What's up? Is he just
quitting?
Now
while we're waiting, let's show the clip that just happened like an hour before this press conference. That could be my conspiracy theories. This is why they're delaying it.
All right. But in the meantime, let us know if you're still in that band. We have some pants shitting band stuff to get to. All right. Yeah. Let's get to the clip.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
Oh, yeah. I heard about this. Yeah, I heard he called Zelensky President Putin. He's not well. Like, this is... You guys want to watch it again? Should we watch it again for good measure? Let's watch it again. Play it again.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
Whoa! Swing and a miss. So Colin thinks, and I don't disagree, that might be why Joe is a no-show. What's the deal with no-show Joe? You better show up quick because we got to go. You're the leader of the free world, and that's a fact, even though it's really freaking sad. You got to show up and be president. So come to your press conference. That wasn't bad off the cuff. Whatever. Don't judge me. Oh, this is amazing. He's just not showing up for a press conference. We might not. This is, folks, honestly, this is history in the making. We have reached a point where it is full mask off. They don't give a shit anymore. They don't care about you. They don't care about... The DNC has made it clear that they don't give a shit about anything except for their little club. They don't care. They don't care about anything. The Republicans have made it clear, like, they're not even going to be subtle about what their frickin' agenda is. Project 2025 is what their agenda has been the last 20 plus years. They're just being honest about it now. They're just not even sugarcoating it. That's what's happening. It's all collapsing, and they're just not even doing it. Like, they're not even sugarcoating it. This is society collapsing. Him not showing up is probably for the best. They will spin it. Him showing up and melting down would be worse. Maybe. Yeah, you might be right. Some people are saying he fell asleep. That's fair. That tracks. I mean, it's getting late, right? Like, he needs to be in bed early. Wasn't that a thing that, that was a thing? My friend's band starts an outdoor show in 1 minute. Gotta go. Sorry, I don't blame you. Hey, enjoy the show. Have fun at the show. Flying fish surf. I hope no one in the band shits their pants. That'd be bad. Man. Yeah, I actually, I can't stay the whole time too because I have a show. Like, I have something going on in town. And I am going to try to swing by the Lee Camp Grandma What thing and say hi to Lee. Graham too, but Graham and I both live in Los Angeles, so we see each other pretty regularly. We don't have the time to go to all of each other's shows, unless of course we're on a show together. But Lee does not live in Los Angeles, so it's I try to see him when he comes to town because I don't get to see him all the time. Just to make sure you and your wife get to the Crow in Santa Monica. I mean, it's Lee Camp Live. Thank you for that, Teresa. Thank you very much. Thank you for the super chat contribution. And again, condolences. I'm so sorry. You know what, Teresa? Next time, because I know you're in the Southern California area, next time we're doing a show, which will be soon, you got to come out. We're going to do another house show at Voliote, which is the non-trad venue we have in San Pedro. You got to make sure you're in attendance. So we can celebrate the life of your dad and have a fun evening. Graham will probably be there unless he's on the road or busy. Graham will be there. I'll definitely be there because it'll be a show that I'm helping produce. And yeah. So the Lumpen Lodge, what's up? I love your handle, by the way, the Lumpen Lodge. I get my license. Oh, license, I think you're trying to say, for my moped. Are you in Europe? Because I know Lupin, there's actually an Italian socialist punk band I like a lot called Lupin. In fact, I interviewed their singer. He's going to be on my show soon. It's we had a little bit of tech issues and a little bit of a language barrier. His English is better than he gives himself credit for, but we needed to do a little bit of English and Italian. But it was a super fun chat. And that episode is going to be dropping soon. He's in the Italian socialist punk band Lupin. And his dad was a freaking partisan. You know what that means? That means his dad was one of the people in Italy who fought the Nazis militia style. Like they fought Mussolini's people and the Nazis. But it was like militia style. Most of them freaking died. Most of them got killed. But they won a few things too. That's freaking nuts. Anyway, Lupin Lodge. That's awesome. You're getting a moped license. I've always thought about it. I've always thought about getting a moped license. Now, this I did not hear about. Did you peep that Heritage Foundation was hacked last night, exposing IP addresses in China, more foreign lobbyists controlling U.S. government? I did not hear about that. No, I did not hear about that. LOL, no, I'm in Cincinnati, bro, Ohio. Cincinnati's the type of town you can get around on a moped in, though, depending on what your neighborhood you're in. Because Cincinnati's kind of set up the same way as my hometown. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And it's one of those depending on the neighborhood you're in. If you're trying to get like clear across town, yeah, it's not going to work out well on a moped. But if you're like going in between certain neighborhoods, you can totally do it on a moped. Cincinnati, they got, man, what's that place? There's a pizza place in Cincinnati I absolutely freaking love. I love it to the point where whenever someone brings up Cincinnati, I can almost taste that pizza and I want it. It's called like Donato's or something. Did you ever have it's square pizza? Did you ever have that, Lupin Lodge? Thank you very much for the super chat contribution, by the way. But yeah. Oh, I love that pizza. Now I'm getting hungry. And where the hell is Biden? Travers, I don't know if I would be a mod or a rocker. I feel like I'd be neither. I feel like I would just be a neutral guy who enjoyed some of the drugs and not others and listened to all of it. I would say, why would you want me to have to pick between Eddie Cochran or The Who? Why do I have to pick between some of the early garage rock or the Kinks? Why can't I listen to both of them? I certainly listen to both of them now. Yeah, I'd be a mocker. Me and frickin' Ringo. We'd be mockers. Some people have no idea what the hell we're talking about. Check out the movie. What's it called? Not Euphoria. God, Quadrophenia. God damn it. Oh, I had a total brain fart there. I wanted to say Euphoria, which is the new show on HBO. Quadrophenia. I was obsessed with that movie for a couple years when I was in college. I was obsessed with it. It's actually not it's not a bad movie. It's not a great movie. And it's not a great album either. The Tommy album is way freaking better. But yeah, anyway, we're talking about the movie Quadrophenia, which was made by The Who, and it captures the kind of subculture of the mods and the rockers that was common in the 1960s. And it got a little violent. Like they fought and stuff. Like it got violent. Guys, there's a chance we might not get to this thing. Yeah, I hope he starts soon because I have to leave for a show. And yeah. Wow, this is crazy. I didn't know that, Zaynab. I didn't know you were a Who fan. That's pretty cool. I love the Who too. I have an original Maximum R&B poster, like one of the original ones that came with the vinyl. It was my dad's, and he gave it to me one year, which is pretty cool. I put it in a frame. I was real excited. Thumper, the mods were more about importing soul and ska music. I never thought of the Kinks as mod at all. Well, yeah, I think they were though, because in that scene in Quadrophenia, when the mod and the rocker are like in the tubs and they're singing back and forth to each other, he was singing Kinks songs. So yeah, I mean they were mod. I mean the Who's not ska or anything like that either, but they were. So I think mod it included all of that, but it also included the style of rock music that was more partial to the Who and the Kinks. I think some of it can be like traced back to skiffle and stuff like that, right? I don't know. Honestly, I used to know more about this stuff when I was in college because I was just. I think a lot of people go through a Who phase where they're obsessed with the Who, and a lot of times it happens in college. That was what it was for me. My freshman year in college, I was obsessed with the Who because I was 19 years old and I had a lot of aggression and I had a lot of energy, and a lot of their early music is meant for a lot of aggression and a lot of energy. So I was obsessed with the Who. And don't get me wrong, I don't Clowny. I enjoy the Quadrophenia album. It's just not my favorite. I like the Tommy album better. I like the early stuff better. Quadrophenia. I mean, there's some good songs on it, but I don't celebrate it the way I celebrate some other stuff in the Who's catalog. I saw the Who in 2004. It was fantastic. I saw them with Zach Starkey on drums, who is Ringo's son. Zach Starkey is a better drummer than his dad. He was phenomenal. He plays the drums in the Who and Oasis. How about that freaking gig? I got a side project. What's your side project? Oasis. Wow. Okay, that's something. Or the Who. Like, yeah, you play drums in Oasis. Yeah, I got another gig too. What's your other gig? The Who. The Who. Holy shit. What's up, Michael? How are you? Hello, all. Hello, Ron. I can only listen in today. Hope everyone is doing fine. And yes, Biden will step down. Been saying it for over a year. I mean, now I'm thinking maybe there's a chance because they're waiting this freaking long. For anyone just tuning in, it was supposed to start about 20 minutes ago. Still hasn't started. We're still waiting. And yeah, it was supposed to start 2 hours ago. Then it was supposed to start 1 hour ago. Still supposed to have started, or not like 40 minutes ago. Still was supposed to have started 40 minutes ago. Still hasn't started. And we're kind of hanging out to see what the hell is going to happen. And if it doesn't start in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to have to go because I have a thing tonight. And it's earlier where I'm at. I'm in California, so it's not evening yet. But I have something work related I got to get to. So, man, how's that? How's that for crazy? I didn't know this. This is interesting. Adria. John Bonham's son, Jason, plays drums with Robert Plant. I didn't know that. And Jimmy Page and some other bands. I did not know that. That's very interesting. I saw Robert Plant at Bonnaroo a couple years ago. I saw his band. And it was a fun time. Not going to lie. As you would expect it to be. I'm not the biggest Zeppelin connoisseur. I respect them. I dig them. But my classic rock fare is a little more... I'm a little more The Who, Jethro Tull, the Beatles, I really like. I'm a big Springsteen guy, big Springsteen nut. I like. I'm sticking to classic rock here. I like Elton John. I'm actually a big Elton John fan. Um, Teresa, thank you for this. Ron and Lee, my favorite comedians. Thank you for that, Teresa. And I look forward to seeing you at the next show I have in LA. I'll keep you posted. I actually don't have any local stuff booked at the moment. I'm just working on the movie. Dead Kennedys. Yeah, I love the Dead Kennedys, but they're not classic rock. um, but yeah, Dead Kennedys. And hey, if you like Dead Kennedys, check out my interview with Jello Biafra. 1000 with Ron Placone. Episode 5 is Jello Biafra. We talk music. We talk punk rock. We talk politics. We talk for a long time. Oh, and if you're one of my patrons, you can get the full extended interview with Jello. It's 2.5 hours long. I didn't drop the full 2.5 hours, but if you're a patron, you can get the full 2.5 hours. Patreon.com/Ron Placone. And my Patreon is a give what you can level, by the way. So all you have to do is $1 a month. So do you have an extra $1 a month? You can be my patron. Oh, and by the way, I am going to be releasing some interviews from my morning show in Nashville that I'm sure none of you ever heard of because it never got off the ground. But I used to have a morning show in Nashville. I'm going to release interviews from back then. I interviewed W. Kamau Bell before he got his TV show. I have an interview with Ian Anderson that I never released the extended version of. Ian Anderson, the lead singer of Jethro Tull. I'm going to be releasing the full version of the Ian Anderson interview. And here's something that might interest some of you in the YouTube verse. I interviewed Jimmy Dore. This is before we ever worked together. I just interviewed him on my show. I'll be releasing that interview. It aired years ago. It is nowhere now. I'm going to be airing that interview, and all that stuff is for patrons only. So again, patreon.com/Ron Placone, $1 a month, and you can get all that stuff. And I drop full stand-up clips, not available anywhere else. And I'll do like private screenings of my movies and stuff. So if you're able, if you got an extra $1 a month, yeah. So Zainab, what's up? Thanks for making us laugh while we made on a megalomaniac narcissist to have a presser, Ron. Thank you so much for that, Zainab. Good to see you. Miss seeing you around on the interwebs, but good to see you. I hope you're well. I hope everything is going awesome in your life. Let's see here. Macarius, what's up? Thank you so much. Biden is late for his own proof of life presser. Yeah, no kidding.
I just saw an image posted 13 seconds ago of them just now setting up the teleprompters.
Okay, so we're at least going to get a little bit of this.
Maybe if he's still got to make it to the stage.
He's still got to make it to the stage. This is wow. This is something. I guess hey, at least we got to hang out. At least I got to hang out with. Honestly, I am sure that chatting with all of you is way more enjoyable than anything Joe Biden would say. You know, I mean, chatting with you guys is way cooler. Now, some of you might be like, we were hoping to have some news, and instead we just talk music and politics and life and music some more and comedy with Ron. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What are you gonna do? What's up, Desbush Fleisch? How are you? The best case history entry would be Genocide Joe. It could get to stubborn egomaniac who brought the return of Trump. Yeah, that might be him. I mean, it's amazing when you think about like how he'll be remembered. He was just a guy who denied the country of a transformational presidency, was on the wrong side of almost everything, not 100% everything, but most things. He was on the wrong side his entire freaking career. He supported segregated busing. He doesn't support universal health care. He supported the crime bill. He never saw a war he didn't like. He never had workers' backs, despite the whole Union Joe persona he has. The only way he's able to pull that off is because all of our government is completely anti-worker. So if you take a freaking train, you can have a facade. And his own ego might lead to another Trump term. Honestly, I think any other Democrat would beat Trump. Just objectively speaking. Would whoever they replace Biden with, would they be better than Biden? Probably not. They probably wouldn't be worse, but they probably wouldn't be better. But you know what? I want to see the guy replaced just so we can feel like we don't live in a freaking dictatorship. Just so we can feel like, hey, our elected officials are a little bit accountable to us. Holy cow. What's up, Fly Chomper Fly? Good to see you. They had trouble waking up Biden. Talk Pittsburgh. What about it? What's going on? Is there something in Pittsburgh I'm not privy to? If something's going on in Pittsburgh, I'm not aware of it. I'm from there. If there's a news story going on in Pittsburgh, I'm not hip to it. But there might be. There might very well be. Let's see. Army boy Ron, Hillary will not be better than Genocide Joe. I agree. I don't think she would be. I don't think she'd be worse, but I don't think she'd be better. But I also don't think she'd be an option. I mean, when I say whoever they appoint wouldn't be any better, I'm talking like people who would likely be an option. It wouldn't be Hillary. It would be it would probably be it's either going to be Newsom or Harris. That's my guess. It's either going to be Newsom or Harris. And, you know, I did say I'd be okay with Newsom just because it gets him out of California quicker. But he's going to be up in 26 anyway. So there's that. So I don't know. But yeah. So I don't know. But I don't think either one of them would be worse than Biden. I don't think either one of them would be better. I don't know. It's hard to say because being a governor is different than being a president. And when you look at a lot of the stuff that Gavin Newsom has signed, it's stuff Joe Biden probably wouldn't sign. But the reason Gavin Newsom signed it is because he was in California, because he basically didn't have a choice. That's what I think anyway. And a lot of the stuff Gavin Newsom vetoed, Joe Biden sure as hell would have vetoed it too. So, yeah. I'd imagine, Travis. I can't say definitively off the top of my head because I haven't seen him make any statements about what's going on in Israel-Palestine. But I would assume so. I would guess he is. All he ever does is like troll other states. Like he trolls Florida and stuff. And he goes, look at how terrible Florida is, you guys. And it's so annoying because we're just sitting there going, Gavin, we know what Florida's like. That's why we live in California. That's one of the reasons we live in California. So how about we fix our state? Why don't we fix California? Yeah, but they're doing crazy stuff in Florida. We're not doing that here. We know that. That's why we pay to live here. It's expensive as hell to live here. We know that certain bullshit that goes on in other parts of the country doesn't go on in California, at least not to the same scale. And that's part of the reason we pay out the ass to live here. So how about we make California better? Yeah, but they're doing crazy stuff in Florida. God. Fly Chomper Fly, what's up? No, never Trumper ever vote for a California candidate. No, never Trumper ever vote for a California candidate. What do you mean? I don't know what that means. Are you saying the never Trumpers wouldn't vote for a Democrat if they were from California? I just have a feeling it's either going to be Kamala or Newsom. I mean, who else would it be? I don't think it would. He does have nice hair. I can objectively say the guy has good hair. Oh, and yeah, here we go. He was cracking down hard on pro-Palestinian protesters. Yeah, I'd imagine. I mean, they were in L.A., although that's not on him. That's on our mayor. But yeah, they were definitely cracking down on the protests here in L.A. Mayor Karen Bass was doing that as she's giving the cops more and more and more money. I need a little water. So Colin, we're T-minus 10 minutes here. What's going on? Is there any updates?
I've said that it's still I haven't seen anything that's not happening, but I haven't seen a single update of what time it's going to happen now.
Can you can just stream it straight even if I'm not here, right?
Yes.
I mean, you might as well. Just every like 5 minutes, just like say something. Like, just say, like, give a shout out to the super chats, give a shout out to members. You know, that's it.
At this rate, he'll probably just come on and
'Cause at
do a
this
quick
rate,
1
like,
minute and then jump off.
I don't know what the hell he's gonna do. I don't know what he's gonna. I don't know if he's gonna do anything.
If
That
they
should be
cancel it or
another.
postpone it to a different day, then they might as well just say like, yeah, by the way, he can't be. That's them confirming he can't be president. Essentially, it's the same thing.
I'd like to think they would do that, but
This was his big boy. Apparently, I didn't realize because I thought the big boy press conference he was supposed to be unscripted, but they changed it to only pre-screen questions now.
yeah, only pre-screened questions, and you have to be making eye contact with him, and you have to use facial gestures so
Soft
he
voice,
feels comfortable. Soft
startles
voice.
easily.
Don't make eye contact with him. Don't do that. You peasant. I mean, this is
Have you seen his eyes lately? It'd be probably pretty scary in person to see that stare at those for a while.
Yeah, he looks messed up. He looks like a guy who is unwell. Trump
Yeah,
lies well, Biden's unwell. That's if you had to sum up that debate in 4 words. Colin just bailed. He's like, "Yeah, I get it. We're going to go." Let's see. Yeah, it's still just here. We can show it to you guys. Well, what's going on with the poll, Colin? Let's hit the poll.
Yeah, the poll right now. So will Biden step down? With 679 votes, we have 48% say yes, he will, and 52% say no, he will not.
So 48
pretty
say
close to even
yes,
split.
52 say no. That's like neck and neck, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's hard to tell with both options are pretty crazy, and so
where are you leaning?
I don't know because it feels weird to switch them out this late when they've very clearly known about this since before the primary happened. So it feels weird, like them admitting defeat. I feel like Democrats are too proud for that. But on the flip side, they also don't want to. Biden's got a long time between now and the election.
Yeah,
And that was one debate.
Yeah, I'm going with no too, just because I think they lack the self-awareness. Even though some people there's grumblings, they're gonna say, well, the alternative is Donald Trump. So what? He's old. And that's what they're gonna do. They're not gonna take into account how ridiculous his health is. And they're probably gonna do a little bit of reflection and realize, hey, if we got a different Democrat, our entire campaign would just be he's not Trump. He or she is not Trump. So why not just do that with Joe Biden? Well, your alternative is Trump. Yeah. Shut up. That's it. Like, shut up. Your alternative's Trump. That might be his entire press conference. He might go on in a minute or two and go, shut up. Your alternative's Trump. And that's it. And we, the peasants, have to take it. I mean, this is bullshit. They don't even care about people's time. Yeah. They can't even keep a here. Let's look at this dumb thing. Look at this. They've been doing this for freaking an hour.
Longer now.
Yeah. Almost an hour. They've been doing this. They don't give a shit about you. This is ridiculous. I mean, people probably rearranged their evenings so they could watch this, so they could hear from the leader of the free world and do their civic duty. Be like, okay, is this guy going to stick around? Is he not sticking around? I know we're not even really a country at this point. We're just a corporation with state lines. But let's entertain the facade that we still have a quote-unquote democracy and that we have something to be civically engaged for. And he just doesn't even show up.
And
He doesn't even show up.
We're not even the ones who hyped it up. The White House was the one that was like, guys, turn in for his big boy conference. They sent that note out for the big boy conference to all the media and pundits.
They used that wording?
Yeah, no, that's the official wording. This is big boy conference.
You've got to be shitting me. Why would they use that wording?
I don't know, but yeah, that you can find the montages of you can, because that's the note that went out, because all of a sudden after the debate, everyone start calling it the big boy press conference, and they're the ones telling the Americans to, hey guys, tune in, you'll understand he's still better than Trump during his big boy conference and all that. And they're the ones who kept telling us to be ready for it.
Man, I'll tell you this. I stopped wondering where the floor is because every time, and I did this for a long time. I'd see something and I'd go, "This has got to be rock bottom," and then the next day or so, I'd be proven wrong. So I stopped saying that. I stopped saying. I just go, I don't know where, because one could say, "Look at this. The president, the freaking president, doesn't even show up for a press conference that they made a big deal about, that this is their big case for him. He doesn't even freaking show up." Man, amazing. Well,
I can't imagine if I missed a work meeting. I've seen people get fired for being late like 3 or 4 times at jobs that
I
pay
have
less
too.
than $10 an hour.
Me too.
And Biden's consistently, or as we heard, missing entire meetings with German chancellors. I just missed meetings with a manager of an office, Max. Like,
Well, I guess maybe there's a chance we could, if it does eventually happen, we can maybe come back. I mean, I do have to be somewhere tonight, but I have to be somewhere, then I'll be back, then I'll be out again. I know that's vague, but yeah, who knows? Here, I'm gonna see if he tweeted anything. He hasn't tweeted shit.
yeah,
His
I
last
was gonna
tweet.
say if you go and I'll keep the stream live for like probably 10 minutes after you leave in case it does play. But if not, I would say look out for. I'm sure if Jordan fills up to it, he'll definitely want to do a montage reaction video. So make sure you're got subscribed with notifications to at least
Yeah,
see
everyone make
Jordan have a
sure you're
meltdown.
subscribed. We're gonna keep you posted here. Although this is freaking ridiculous. I've never seen anything
Yeah.
like this.
I don't.
I've
I was
I've
genuinely trying to
never
remember if we've ever had
experienced
this late of a press conference before for a president.
2 hours. I mean, well,
Yeah.
they did officially move it, so I guess we got to say 1. I've never experienced anything like this. I've
That didn't involve
experienced.
an emergency, I should say.
Yeah, well, and if that's the case, tell us.
Oh wait,
Tell us if something's going on. Tell us. Oh shit, we're gonna get a couple minutes here. Let it go. Like, put it on. It's playing. Wasn't that it? It started.
Thank you. Please be seated. Well, good evening. We just concluded
An
this
hour
year's
late.
NATO summit, and the consensus among the members was it was a great success. It was especially momentous because it represented the 75th year, the most important military defense alliance in the world's history of the world. We should never forget that NATO grew out of the wreckage of World War II, the most destructive war in history. The idea was to create an alliance of free and democratic nations that would commit themselves to a compact of collective defense. Standing together, they knew we'd all be safer. An attack on one would be treated as an attack on all. And it's worked because a would-be aggressor knows if they attack one of us, they'll be attacked by all of us. Sending that message is the best way to deter aggression and prevent wars in the first place. For those who thought NATO's time had passed, they got a rude awakening when Putin invaded Ukraine. Some of the oldest and deepest fears in Europe roared back to life because once again, a murderous madman was on the march. But this time, no one cowered in appeasement, especially the United States. We collected intelligence that Russia was planning to invade Ukraine months before the invasion.
So this is just a war rally.
I directed the intelligence community to
He's
be
giving a war rally.
A significant amount of intelligence be declassified.
This has
so I could
nothing to
start
do with
building an
what
international
people
coalition
thought.
to oppose the invasion. Then in February, some of you remember, I warned the world that the invasion was imminent. I rallied a coalition of 50 nations from Europe to Asia to help Ukraine defend itself. Many foreign policy experts thought as Putin amassed Russian forces just 100 miles north of Kyiv.
He's giving a war. He's doing a war rally.
But he thought
Guys,
Putin
unfortunately,
thought it was
I have
the
another
mother
obligation.
home of
I do
Russia.
need to depart for now.
capital
We'll see what
would fall
happens
in
here. I
less
might
than
be
a week.
back.
But the Ukrainian people,
I'll
backed by a
shepherd you guys
coalition to
to
help
know.
build,
All right. Colin's got you. You're in
Today,
good hands.
Kyiv still
Peace, Status Coup,
stands.
fam.
And NATO
See you
stands
soon.
stronger than it has ever been. During the week of this summit, several heads of states made it a point in their statements to thank the United States and to thank me personally for all that NATO has achieved. NATO is not only stronger, NATO is bigger because we led the charge to bring in Finland and Sweden into the alliance. And it makes a gigantic difference. Excuse me. Meanwhile, my predecessor has made it clear he has no commitment to NATO. He's made it clear that he would feel no obligation to honor Article 5. He's already told Putin, and I quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." In fact, the day after Putin invaded Ukraine, here's what he said. It was genius. It was wonderful. Some of you forgot that, but that's exactly what he said. But I made it clear, a strong NATO is essential to American security. And I believe the obligation of Article 5 is sacred. And I would remind all
Reminder that
Americans,
Ukraine was
Article 5 was invoked only
This all
once in
started.
NATO's long history.
And NATO
And that was to
violated
defend
the
America after
they
9/11.
had
I made it
with
clear
Russia before this.
that I will not bow down to Putin. I will not walk away from Ukraine. I will keep NATO strong. That's exactly what we did and exactly what we'll continue to do. Now, the future of American policy is up to the American people. This is much more than the political question. It's more than that. It's a national security issue. Don't reduce this to the usual testament that people talk about, issues of being a political campaign. It's far too important. It's about the world we live in for decades to come. Every American must ask herself or himself, is the world safer with NATO? Are you safer? Is your family safer? I believe the American people know. The answer to all those questions is yes. And I believe the American people understand that America is stronger because of our alliances. I believe the American consensus from Truman to Reagan to me still holds today. America cannot retreat from the world. We must lead the world. We're an indispensable nation, as Madeleine Albright wrote. Now let me turn to three other key issues.
Thanks for the super chat, Flight
Just this morning, we had a great economic report showing inflation is down. Overall prices fell last month. Core inflation is the lowest it's been in 3 years. Prices are falling for cars, appliances, and airfares.
Are you guys
Grocery
doing that?
prices have fallen since the start of the year. We're going to keep working to take down corporate greed to bring those prices down further. Meanwhile, Trump's calling for a 10% tariff on everything Americans buy, including food from overseas, vegetables, and other necessities. And economists tell us that would cost the average American working family another $2,500 a year. It's a tax of $2,500 a year. Second, our efforts to secure the border, southern border, is working. After Trump killed the bipartisan effort to secure the border, Republicans and Democrats had worked on, because he thought it would benefit me and make him a loser, Republicans walked away. So I took executive action last month.
Good point, Vanessa.
As a consequence,
That could be why his speech
working with
sounds weird to
Mexico,
us. Is because it's not
border
for us.
encounters have gone down over 50%. The current level is lower today than when Trump left office. Third, for months, the United States has been working to secure a ceasefire in Gaza, to bring the hostages home, to create a path for peace and stability in the Middle East. 6 weeks ago, I laid out a
Genocide
detailed
Joe wants
plan
peace in the Middle East. Did you guys
in
do
writing.
that?
It was endorsed by the UN Security
Fox
Council.
also wants to be
the
best friends
G7.
with the hen.
That framework is now agreed on by both Israel and Hamas. So I sent my team to the region to hammer out the details. These are difficult, complex issues. There's still gaps to close. We're making progress. The
Can you
trend is
imagine if he
positive.
actually contrasted
And
himself
I'm
against
determined to
Trump
get
as
this
an
deal done
anti-war
and bring an end
candidate
to this
instead,
war, which should end now.
not an anti-genocide
Let
candidate?
me conclude where I began. We're the United States of America. We are the indispensable nation. Our leadership matters. Our partnerships matter. This moment matters. We must rise to meet it. With that, I'll take your questions. I've been given
These are
a list
pre-screened.
of people to call on here.
he
Reuters, Jeff Mason.
has a list. Oh my God.
Mr. President, your political future has hung over the NATO summit a little bit this week. Speaker Pelosi made a point of suggesting that your decision on whether to stay in the race was still open. George Clooney and a handful of lawmakers have called on you to step aside. Reuters is reporting tonight that UAW leadership is concerned about your ability to win.
UAW just endorsed me, but go ahead.
Thank you.
They didn't just they endorsed
My
him a
question
long
for
time
you is,
ago.
how are you incorporating these developments into your decision to stay? And separately, what concerns do you have
The
about
report
Vice
is actually
President
that UAW
Harris's
is going to be
ability
looking
to
at
beat
options
Donald
now.
Trump
Yep,
if
that's
she were at the
unendorsed.
top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president till I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start
Vice
there.
President Trump.
Number
There we
one.
go.
The fact is that the consideration is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again. Secondly, the idea, I served in the Senate a long time.
You heard it here, folks.
The
Biden
idea
is
that
confident that his Vice
senators
President Trump will
and
be just as
congressmen
good as him.
running for office worry about the ticket is not unusual. And I might add, there are at least 5 presidents running or incumbent presidents who had lower numbers than I have now, later in the campaign. So there's a long way to go in this campaign. And
Don't worry,
so
guys. I think
I'm
there's
just
people
gonna
that were
keep
worse
moving.
than me. That's
Keep moving.
that's
And because, look, I
That's
got
your-
more work
that's
to do.
your
We got more
bar,
work to
guys.
finish. There's so much, we made so much progress. Think about it. Think about where we are economically relative to the rest of the world. Name me a world leader who wouldn't want to trade places with our economy. We've created over 800,000
really hope
manufacturing
board
jobs,
leaders respond to
1.5
that.
million. I mean, so things are moving. We got more to go. Working class people still need help. Corporate greed is still at large. Their prices, the corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic. They're coming down.
whose fault is
So
that?
I'm optimistic about where things are going.
Inflation didn't go up, just prices went up.
Danny Kemp, AFP.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to ask you about your, you mixed up Presidents Zelensky and Putin earlier today. And you now have sort of your key allies, including the British Prime Minister, the President of France, the German Chancellor having to step in and make excuses for you on that. Officials here are saying off the record that your decline has become noticeable. Hasn't this now, frankly, become damaging for America's standing in the world? Thank you.
Did you see any damage to our standing in my leading this conference?
Yeah.
Have you seen a more successful conference?
Yeah.
What do you think? And the Putin piece, I was
Thank
talking
you,
about
Teresa,
Putin, and I
for
said,
that
and now,
generous
at the very end, I said, here, I mean, Putin, I said, oh,
and they're
no,
doing good.
I'm
We're
sorry,
with the AC
Zelensky.
now.
And then I added 5 other names. Look, guys, the idea anybody suggests that we haven't had an incredibly successful conference. How many times did you hear in that conference? I know it sounds too self-serving, but other leaders, heads of state, in thanking me, saying the reason we're together is because of Biden, because Biden did the following. Look, folks, this is well, anyway, I thought it was the most successful conference I've attended in a long time, and find me a world leader who didn't think it was. Next
I can't
one.
wait for the articles
I'm
after this
sorry,
about
Nancy
world leaders
Cordes.
talking about this.
CBS.
Thank you, Mr. President. You mentioned other instances in history where presidents have faced a challenge, but what makes this moment in history so unique is that it is not your enemies who are calling on you to reconsider your decision to stay in the race. It's your friends, supporters, people who think you've done a great job over the past 4 years. Have you spent time thinking about what it would mean for your legacy, which you've worked decades to build, if you stay in the race, despite the concerns that voters say they have, and you lose to someone who you yourself have argued is unfit to return to the Oval Office?
Well, look,
That's actually a good argument for
I'm not in this for my legacy.
lib perspective.
I'm in this to complete the job I started.
Thanks, Lump and Lodge.
As you recall, understandably, many of you and many economists thought my initial initiatives that I put forward, can't do that. It's going to cause inflation. Things are going to skyrocket.
What?
The debt's
Name one
gonna
that
go
he
up.
actually passed. That
What are you
someone was
hearing
concerned
now
about. He didn't pass
from
any.
mainstream economists? 16 economic Nobel laureates said I've done a hell of a job. That under my plans so far and what's going to happen in the future if I'm reelected, that things are going to get much better. Our economy is growing. I was determined when I got elected to stop the trickle-down economic theory. That if the wealthy did very well, everybody else would do well. My dad was a well-read, decent guy. I don't remember much trickling down on his kitchen table. Middle-class people and working-class
And
people
now
need
middle
help.
class is worse
And
off.
so what happened is I decided to was able to implement as president what I believed when I was a senator. And that is that the way to build this economy is from the middle out and the bottom up. That way we grow the economy. And the wealthy still do very well. They do fine. And guess what? Find me an economist, a mainstream economist who said we haven't done well. What have we not done that isn't working right now? And so we got more to do, though. We got to finish the job. And by the way, I come from the corporate state of the world. Delaware has more corporations
As a reminder, the
registered in
recent
Delaware
survey
than
came
every
out
other
that,
state
that,
in the nation combined. I'm not
60% of
anti-corporate,
Americans right now are
but
living paycheck to
corporate
paycheck.
profits have doubled since the
6
pandemic.
out of every
Doubled.
10.
It's time things get
Paycheck
back
to
in order a
paycheck.
little bit.
No savings.
It's
account.
time, for example, if I'm reelected, we're going to make sure that rents are kept at 5% increase in corporate rents for apartments and the like and homes are limited to 5%. We're going to make a lot of changes that I've been talking about because we're going to continue to grow this economy. And by the way, I know, remember how I got so roundly criticized for being so pro-union, not labor, union.
You're anti-union.
Well,
You
guess what?
broke up a union.
I've been the most
strike,
pro-union labor
with-
president in history.
He's one
Not a
of
joke.
only like 2
And guess
presidents
what?
to break up officially
We
a
had the Treasury
union
Department
like
do
he
a
did with the
study.
railroad union.
When
And then-
unions do better, everybody does better.
2 months after he broke it up,
Everybody
the
does
train crashed
better.
in East Palestine,
And we
Ohio,
talk about
causing a
how,
mass
for
poisoning
example,
of citizens
and when
due
I
to
went,
safety issues.
remember when we talked about getting the computer chip industry back in the United States? Used to be 40% of the industry. We invented the chip. 40% of the industry was in the United States. And former presidents decided that the best way to do it is find the cheapest labor in the world, send the product over there and import what the product was. And so what did I do? I was told not to go over to Europe, to Asia, including Europe, but Asia. And I remember going to South Korea, convincing them to invest $20 billion in the United States to build computer chip factories. And I asked why when they finally decided to do it. And the answer was because you have the safest economy in the world and you have the best workers in the world. So the whole idea here is
Yeah, the
we've
safest economy for
invested
big
there's
business.
over
I would
$50
agree.
billion in investment in computer chip manufacturing just coming in the bean. None of you thought that would happen. None of you thought that would happen. But it's happening. It's happening. And it's going to grow economies. All through, and by the way, red states and blue states. Matter of fact, there's as much in red states as blue states. I've made no distinction. So my generic point is that the idea that we can't continue to build and grow the economy, make it fairer. And like I said, from my standpoint, when the middle class does well, that's when the whole economy grows. The poor have a shot,
Why
the wealthy do well.
Used all your power
The
to make
wealthy
sure
got
they
to
don't
start
do
paying
that.
their taxes.
As a follow-up, sir, you mentioned that your Vice President Kamala Harris would be ready to serve on day one. Can you elaborate on that? What is it about her attributes and her accomplishments over the last 4 years that make her ready to serve on day one if
Exactly.
necessary?
First of all, the way she's handled the issue of freedom of women's bodies to have control over their bodies. Secondly, her ability to handle almost any issue on the board. This was a hell of a prosecutor. She was a first-rate person, and in the Senate, she was really good. I wouldn't have picked her unless I thought she was qualified to be president from the very beginning.
I really
I
hope
made
a
no
reporter
bones
asked
about
him
that.
about the vice president.
She is
Trump
qualified to be
after that he goes
president.
bad
That's why I
5
picked her.
minutes ago.
Felicia Schwartz, Financial Times.
Thank you, Mr. President. Presidency is the most straining job in the world, and it's 24/7. How can you say you'll be up for that next year, in 2 years, in 4 years, given the limits you've acknowledged that you have today?
The limits I've acknowledged I have.
There's been reporting that you've acknowledged that you need to go to bed earlier and your evening around 8.
That's not true.
Oh, is he's denying those reports?
What
Oh.
I said was, instead of my every day starting at 7 and going to bed at midnight, it'd be smarter for me to pace myself a little more. And I said, for example, the 8, 7, 6 stuff, instead of starting the fundraiser at 9 o'clock, start at 8 o'clock. People get to go home by 10 o'clock. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not
He's
talking
just being
about,
nice to us.
If you look
That's
at my
nothing to do with
schedule since I made that stupid mistake in the campaign in the debate, I mean, my schedule has been full bore. I've done where's Trump been? Riding around in his golf cart, filling out his scorecard before he hits the ball.
He's been actually talking to the public. That's what
He's
been
done virtually
doing,
nothing.
Trump, but
And I don't know how many, don't hold me to it, roughly 20 major events. Someone with thousands of people showing up. And so I just think it's better. I always have an inclination, whether I was playing sports or doing politics, just to keep going, not stop. I just got to pace myself a little more. Pace myself. And the next debate, I'm not going to be traveling 15 times
That's why you need to pace
a
yourself.
week before. Anyway, that's what it was about. That's what it was about. And by the way, even with that, I love my staff, but they add things all the time. At the very end, I'm catching hell from my wife for that. Anyway.
so he's blaming the staff.
I'm sorry, Zeke Miller, Associated Press.
Thank you, Mr. President. 2 questions for you. First, on the NATO summit, President Zelensky, in your meeting with him, he pressed you to lift your limitations on the Ukrainian use of American weapons, saying that, in his public remarks afterwards, saying that Ukraine cannot win the war unless those limitations are lifted. Are you reconsidering your position on that? And then secondly, following up on Felicia's question there, leaders of your own party have said that they're not worried about that debate. They're worried about the next bad night and the bad night after that. How can you reassure the American people that you are up to the task and that there won't be more bad nights at a debate stage or somewhere else?
First thing about Zelensky asking for the ability to strike deep into Russia.
I noticed that he's slowing down.
We've allowed Zelensky to use American weapons in the near term and the near abroad into Russia. Whether or not he should be attacked. For example, should Zelensky, he's not. If he had the capacity to strike Moscow, strike the Kremlin, would that make sense? It wouldn't. The question is, what's the best use of the weaponry he has, and the weaponry we're getting to him? I've gotten a more long-range capacity, as well as defensive capacity. And so our military is where I'm following the advice of my commander-in-chief, the chief of staff of the military, as well as the Secretary of Defense and our intelligence people.
Keep in mind, this is after
And we're making a day-to-day
delaying
basis
this
on what
meeting
they
by
should
over
and shouldn't do, how
almost
far they
2.5
should win.
hours.
That's a logical
Still a
thing to do.
performance we're getting.
Second question related to
Bad nights, sir. How can you reassure the American people that you won't have more bad nights, whether they be on a debate stage or it's a matter of foreign policy?
Well, I tell you what, the best way to assure them is the way I assure myself. And that is, am I getting the job done?
Yeah, sure.
Am I getting the job done? Can you name me somebody who's gotten more major piece of legislation passed in 3.5 years? I created 2,000 jobs just last week. So if I slow down, I can't get the job done. That's a sign that I shouldn't be doing it. But there's no indication of that yet. None.
No indication of that.
Who we
Now
got
he's
here?
delusional. That's a separate issue.
Merrick, Pulaski Radio.
Thank you, Mr. President. How are you?
I'm well.
The elections in the US have consequences around the world. You have pretty high standing in Europe. I just asked President Macron about you, and he said we are happy to have him as the President of the United States. But there is a concern. Many people in Poland and across Europe are worried that the former president may win the election. And there's a lot of concern that Donald Trump may weaken NATO, stop supporting Ukraine, or push Ukraine to give up territories to Russia.
They're correct.
And yourself was warning
That'd be
just a few
terrible.
minutes
Give
ago
up a territory to save human
about
lives.
it.
Man, what a world.
So my question is, do you think that Europe will be left on its own if Donald Trump wins the election? And what's your advice to European leaders to prepare for possible US disengagement?
Well, look, I think, how can I say this without sounding too self-serving?
Oh, don't worry.
I'm not having
It is
any of
so
my European allies come up to me and say, Joe, don't run. What I hear them say is, you've got to win. You can't let this guy come forward. It'd be a disaster. It'd be a disaster. I mean,
Maybe they're hinting that you should get out of the race because they don't.
I think he said in one of his
Yeah,
rallies,
this-
don't hold me to this recently, where NATO, I just learned about NATO or something to that effect. Foreign policy has never been his strong point. And he seems to have an affinity to people who are authoritarian. That worries, as I tell you from Poland, that worries Europe. That worries Poland. And nobody, including the people of Poland, think that if he wins in Ukraine, he's going to stop in Ukraine, that that's going to be the end of it. And so what I can say is, I think I'm the best qualified person to do the job, to make sure that Ukraine does not fall, that Ukraine succeeds, that the European alliance stays strong. You may recall, no one was talking about Finland joining NATO. I remember talking to Putin right after we got elected in Geneva, and he was talking about what we should do. We couldn't be in Eastern Europe, et cetera. And I said, you're looking for the Finlandization of Ukraine, because you're going to get the NATOization of Finland. And about 4 weeks later, I got a call. No, that's not true. Probably 5 months later, from the president of Finland, could he come and see me? Because in my office, I invited him to the Oval Office. We sat down and talked. He said he wanted to join NATO. Could I help? And I did. It wasn't automatic. And then I got a call from the Swedes.
It's very exciting.
I beg your pardon? And so Finland joined NATO. 800-mile border is a significant, and they're already allies, but they weren't part of NATO. And you heard, I think you heard, maybe, I can't recall what he said publicly in a closed meeting, but he wouldn't mind being repeated. He said, we decided in Finland, the people of Finland decided they had to be
Notice
part of
how
NATO.
his response
It was in
to
our
the
interest
previous question
because of
about
the
him felt
joint
very canned, and
ability
or the question
to
just
be
said,
together
"I'm good. I need to beat
just to
Trump."
dissuade any attack
But this
on
different
Finland.
question, he actually had
And
a
the same
full
thing
question
with-
out to
with
answer, and
Sweden.
actually kind of answering the
Took a
question.
lot of selling to some
Like a
folks
very stark contrast
particularly,
between this and the other question.
in Turkey and other
No, he
places
answers it.
to agree to the expansion. But it expanded,
Although he is
and we're a hell of a lot
meandering
stronger
quite a bit.
because of it. We're more secure because of it. And by the way, I was able to get 50 other nations, 50, to support Ukraine. 50. And we were able to bring about a coalition of Europe and Asia, Japan and South Korea. I just met we talked about AUKUS, and we talked about the relationship between Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, the United States. We're making the world safer and stronger because we have to deal with the new arrangement that exists in the world.
Making
The
it
Cold
stronger
War
by
is
bringing
over.
as many
The post-war
countries
era
as
is
possible
over.
to the World War
What is going to replace it? And I respectfully suggest I have a pretty good idea what that should be. I'm convinced a lot of people will follow it, and we're just going to get stronger. David Sanger. Where's the...
Thank you, Mr. President.
Be nice, David.
Mr. President, the NATO declaration that was issued yesterday was very notable because it described China as a decisive enabler of the war in Ukraine for its provision of critical goods to the Russians. That's part of a broader partnership that seems to have cemented in place in the past 2 or 3 years. I think one that you were a little bit doubtful of when we asked you about it some time ago. So I'd be interested to know whether you have a strategy now of trying to interrupt the partnership between China and Russia, and whether or not in a second term you would pursue that, if you could describe that strategy to us. And along the way, could you also tell us whether you think, just to follow up on Felicia's question, that if you were in a room with Vladimir Putin again, the way you were 3 years ago, or with President Xi, that a few years from now, you will be able to go negotiate with them, handle them one-on-one?
Well, the first part of the question is, we discussed and I raised in the NATO summit, and others raised, the future of China's involvement, what they're going to do, what they're doing with Russia in terms of accommodating, facilitating.
If you ever want to feel real sad,
access
just
to
look
additional.
up
They're not
anything
supplying.
in China.
They're not supplying weapons
that
themselves.
publicly
They're supplying
did,
mechanisms,
whether it's
for them to be able
transportation
to
or
get
buildings
weapons.
or technology.
And China's position is
You realize how
basically, and
far
I've
behind
spent more
America
time with
actually
Xi
is.
Jinping than any world leader has. Over 90 hours since being vice president all the way through, for real. And by the way, I handed all my notes. But my point is that she believes that China is a large enough market that they can entice any country, including European countries, to invest there in return for commitments from Europe to do A, B, C, or D, or not to do certain things. What's happened is we had a long discussion about what we have to make clear. China has to understand that if they are supplying Russia with information and capacity, along with working with North Korea and others to help Russia in armament, that they're not going to benefit economically as a consequence of that by getting the kind of investment they're looking for. And so, for example, we're in a situation where we've reestablished direct contact with China after that, remember the balloon, quote unquote, going down, and all of a sudden things came to an end? Well, we set up a new mechanism. There's a direct line between Xi and me, and our military has direct access to one another, and they contact one another when we have problems. The issue is that we have to make sure that Xi understands there's a price to pay for undercutting both the Pacific Basin as well as Europe, and as it relates to Russia and dealing with Ukraine. And so for example, if you want to invest in China, as you know this area really well, if you want to invest in China, you have to have a 51% Chinese owner. You have to make sure that you do by their rules. And you don't have the authority, and you have to provide all access to all the data and information you have. There was a while there, as you recall, the last administration and other administrations, where the access to that market was enticing enough to get companies to come in because they had access to over 1 billion people in a market not a billion, but a lot of people in the market. And
that billion.
so they were doing it. But that got curtailed when we started saying we're going to play by the same rules. For example, the idea they don't abide by the international rules related to subsidizing products by the government funding. So guess what? They're not going to be able to export their electric vehicles to the United States without a significant tariff. Others are doing the same thing around the world. But it is a concern. It is a concern that you have both China, North Korea, Russia, Iran, countries that are not necessarily coordinated in the past, looking to figure out how they can have impact.
Interrupt that impact?
Yes, I do, but I'm not prepared to talk about the detail of it in public. And I think you'll see that some of our European friends are going to be curtailing their investment in Russia. In China, as long as China continues to have this indirect help to Russia in terms of being able to help their
he's
economy,
complaining about. You just have to replace
as well as
Russia with
help
America,
them
and
as a consequence of that, their ability to fight in Ukraine. The other thing that we talked a lot about is that, and I raised it, and I didn't hear any. I can't swear that everyone agreed because not everyone got to talk about it. But we need a new industrial policy in the West. For example, we talked about how both the EU as well as NATO has to be able to begin to build their own munition capacity, has to be able to generate their own capacity to provide for weapons and the ability to, it came as a surprise to some of us how we had fallen behind in the West in terms of the ability to construct new material, new weaponry, new everything from vehicles to weapon systems. And so one of the things that came out of this was we're going to be meeting again with a number of my colleagues, my European colleagues, is what do we do to increase the capacity of the West, particularly in Europe and Japan, to be able to generate kind of ability to produce their own weapon systems.
This one and the previous.
Not just for themselves, but to be able to generate that.
Not for Moses Conference.
It's the same. It's what Russia's trying to figure out. That they went to China, and they didn't get the weapons, but then they went to North Korea. But we're going to be in a position where the West is going to become the industrial base for it to be able to the ability to have all the defensive weapons that we need. That was a discussion as well.
President, I'm not sure you answered on whether you would be ready to go deal with Putin and Xi 2 or 3 years from now.
I'm ready to deal with them now and 3 years from now. Look, like I said,
that inspired comment that long.
Dealing with Xi right now
in 4 years from.
And direct contact with him. I have no good reason to talk to Putin right now. There's not much that he is prepared to do in terms of accommodating any change in his behavior. And but there isn't any world leader I'm not prepared to deal with. But I understand the generic point is Putin ready to talk? I'm not ready to talk to Putin.
I think they're going to probably allow him one more question and then pull
behavior.
out it goes.
And the idea, look, Putin's got a problem. First of all, in this war that he is supposedly have won, and by the way, I think, don't hold me to the exact number, but I think Russia had 17.3% of Ukraine that they've conquered. Now it's 17.4. I mean, in terms of percentage of territory. They've not been very successful. They've caused horrible damage, loss of life, but they've also lost over 350,000.
That you don't want to prevent. You want to increase the loss of life.
Military, killed or wounded.
Rather than
They have over a
Working for
million
peace.
people, particularly young people with technical capability, leaving Russia because they see no future there. They've got a problem. But what they do have control of is they are very good at controlling and running the public outcry that relates to how they use mechanisms to communicate with people. They lie like hell to the constituencies. They lie like hell about what's going on. And so the idea that we're going to be able to fundamentally change Russia in the near term is not likely. But one thing for certain, if we allow Russia to succeed in Ukraine, they're not stopping in Ukraine. I recommend, I know you
Really?
know this because
Because they literally
you've
just
written
went
about
to
it.
one section of
Read
Ukraine and they took it
Putin's
itself,
speech.
not even all of Ukraine.
After they moved in, what it was
Might
all
be
about
different now because
in Kyiv. It wasn't about just, anyway, read what his objective is. And anyway, but so I think that
read it because I sure as
I'm
heck can't
prepared to
remember
talk
it.
to any leader who wants to talk, including if Putin called me and wanted to talk. Last time I talked to Putin was trying to get him to work on an arms control agreement related to nuclear weapons in space. That didn't go very far. So my point is, I'm prepared to talk to anybody, but I don't see
They had to
any
switch
inclination.
interpreters again.
There is an inclination on the part of the Chinese to keep in contact with me because they're not sure where this all goes. And look what's happened in Asia. We have strengthened the Asian Pacific area more than anyone else has. We just put together with today, I asked our NATO allies that we bring on the group from the South Pacific, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Australia. I already mentioned Australia. And I met twice now, I think, with the 14 leaders of the Pacific Island nations. And we've slowed down what's going on there. We've slowed down China's reach. But there's a lot of work to do. This is a moving target, and I don't take it lightly. Assam from NPR.
NPR. Well,
Thank you, Mr. President. Asma Khalid with NPR. I have two questions. Earlier, you spoke about the ceasefire plan between Israel and Hamas. We're now looking at 10 months of war, and I'm curious if there's anything that you feel personally you wish you would have done differently over the course of the war. And then secondly, if I may, I wanted to ask you about your presidential campaign. I remember covering your campaign in 2020, and there was a moment where you referred to yourself as a, quote, bridge candidacy, a transition to a younger generation of leaders. I want to understand what changed.
Two things. Let's go back to when you talked about would I change anything that's happening with Israel and the Palestinians and the Palestinian movement. The answer is, as you recall, from the very beginning, I went to Israel, but I also got immediate contact with Sisi.
Blinken went there. It took him quite an actual while to finally go there.
King of Jordan. I met with most of the Arab leaders to try to get a consensus going as to what had to be done to deal with getting more aid and food and medicine into the Gaza Strip. And we pushed it really hard. And Israel occasionally was less than cooperative, number one. The Israeli War Cabinet, I've been dealing with Israel since Golda Meir. Some of the reporters around here come here all the time and heard me say this. The first time I met with Golda Meir, I sat across from her at her desk, and her assistant was Rabin sitting next to me. That's how far back I go. I know Israel well, and I support Israel. But this war cabinet is one of the most conservative war cabinets in the history of Israel. And there's no ultimate answer other than a two-state solution here. And so what was able to be done in terms of the plan I put together was it would be a process for a two-state solution. And we get the Arab nations to, particularly from Egypt all the way to Saudi Arabia, to be in a position where they would cooperate in the transition so that they could keep the peace in Gaza without Israeli forces staying in Gaza. The question has been from the beginning, what's the day after in Gaza? And the day after in Gaza has to be.
We already know they're throwing off the Gaza plan,
the
even
end
as
of
we
the day
speak.
after has to be no
protests outside of the
occupation by
auction for Gaza
Israel on the
land.
Gaza Strip, as well as the ability for us to get in and out as rapidly as you can, all that's needed there. I've been disappointed that some of the things that I've put forward have not succeeded as well, like the port reattached from Cyprus. I was hopeful that would be more successful. But that's why when I went to Israel immediately after the massacres that occurred.
Once again, not immediately after.
Hamas,
Took him quite a while.
The one thing I said to the Israelis, and I met with the war cabinet and with Bibi, don't make the same mistake America made after
Hitler
bin
made.
Laden.
Don't make that.
There's no need to occupy anywhere. Go after the people who did the job. You may recall, I still get criticized for it, but
I'll just pause real quick just so you guys know that the report came out that Israel knew about the attack and withdrew the IDF forces so that they wouldn't get taken by Hamas and only civilians would. And then a Lancet report came out confirming that at minimum 185,000 civilians.
I was totally opposed to the occupation
79% of the Gaza
and trying
population.
to unite Afghanistan. Once we got bin Laden, we should have moved on, because it was not no one's ever going to unite that country. I've been over every inch of that, not every inch, the entirety from the poppy fields all the way to the north. I said, don't make the same mistake we made. Don't think that's what you should be doing, is doubling down. We'll help you find the bad guys, Sinwar and company. And all this criticism about I wouldn't provide when the weapons they needed. I'm not providing them 2,000-pound bombs. They cannot be used in Gaza or any populated area without causing great human tragedy and damage. But remember what happened when you had the attack on Israel with rockets and ballistic missiles. I was able to unite the Arab nations as well as Europe, and nothing happened. Nothing got hurt. It sent an incredible lesson to what was going on from the Middle East. So there's a lot of things in retrospect. I could have convinced the Israelis to do. But the bottom line is we have a chance now. It's time to end this war. Doesn't mean walk away from going after Sinwar and Hamas. And if you notice, you know better than most, there is a growing dissatisfaction on the West Bank from the Palestinians about Hamas. Hamas is not popular now. And so there's a lot of moving parts. I just have to keep moving to make sure that we get as much done as we can toward a ceasefire.
Then it was all worth it.
A ceasefire and get those. And by the way, look at the numbers in Israel. I mean, my numbers are better in Israel than they are here. But then again, they're better than a lot of other people here too. But anyway.
Bridge candidacy in 2020. You referred to yourself as being a bridge candidate for a younger, fresher generation of Democratic leaders. And I wanted to know what changed.
What changed was the gravity of the situation I inherited in terms of the economy, our foreign policy, and domestic division. And I think, I won't put words in anybody's mouth. Most presidential historians give me credit for having accomplished more than most any president since Johnson and maybe before that to get major pieces of legislation passed. And what I realized was my long time in the Senate had equipped me to have the wisdom to know how to deal with the Congress to get things done. We got more major legislation passed that no one thought would happen. And I want to finish it, to get that finished. If tomorrow, if we had a circumstance where there was
a lineup,
of
a president to get it done the first
I
time,
hadn't inherited what I did, and we just moved things along. Anyway, it's going to change.
Last question.
Haley Bull.
I was off by one question. They let
no, Josh Weingrove. I'm sorry. Was the next one. I'll do two more questions.
Oh.
Thank you, Mr. President. Many of your colleagues, Democrats on the Hill, are watching tonight
as they assess what they want to say about your candidacy. I'm wondering how you're thinking of this right now. It seems like your answer is clear, but they're watching how things go tonight, tomorrow in Michigan, next week in Texas and Nevada. Are you thinking that way about whether how the next week or two goes would inform you?
Am I using that way, you said?
Are you thinking that way about how the next 2 weeks go? Will that affect your decision, or are you fully determined on running in November as the party's nominee?
If he's replaced,
I'm
won't be with
determined on
something
running,
good.
but I think it's important that I lay fears by let them see me out there. Let me see them out. For the longest time it was, Biden's not prepared to sit with us unscripted. Biden's not prepared to, anyway. And so what I'm doing is, and I've been doing, I think we've done over 20 major events from Wisconsin to North Carolina to demonstrate that I'm going out in the areas where we think we can win, where we can persuade people to move our way, or people are already there. And here, look, the other thing is, we have the most extensive campaign organization of anybody's had in a long, long time. We have well over 1,000 volunteers knocking on doors, making phone calls, making tens of thousands of phone calls. We have headquarters. I forget exactly how many. I want to cite a number and then find out I'm off. But we have scores of headquarters.
Oh yeah, we don't want to.
In all the toss-up states. We're organized. We're moving, and that's awful hard to replace in the near term. And so, and here's the other thing. I was in the Senate a long time. Very proud of what I've done in the Senate. I was chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee for a long time, and I was chairman or ranking member and chairman of the Judiciary Committee. I'm going to be going down to the Johnson Library. Anyway, I'm going to be going around making the case of the things that I think we have to finish and how we can't afford to lose what we've done or backslide on civil rights, civil liberties, women's rights. There's that little button we have.
That thing that he could have
Control guns, not
notified
girls.
Roe v. Wade.
I mean, the idea we're sitting around, this is where Kamala's so good as well.
Anything to it.
We're sitting around. More children are killed by a bullet than any other cause of death. The United States of America. What the hell are we doing? What are we doing? We got a candidate saying, promising, don't worry, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do anything. You got a Supreme Court that is what you might call the most conservative court in American history. This is ridiculous. There's so much we can do still.
That's why you need to get out of the
determined
way.
to get it done. It's about freedom. And by the way, I'll end this. Well, I'm not going to do that. Haley has to come up too. But I remember I made a speech on democracy in Philadelphia at Independence Hall. And I'm not being critical, just observing. The bulk of the press said, what the hell is he talking about that for? Democracy. You did. Democracy is not an issue. Democracy is not an issue. Except the polling data showed 60% of the people knew I was right, thought I was right. I'm not asking you a question. You don't have to answer, obviously. But do you think our democracy is under siege based on this court?
And by the
Do you think democracy is under siege based on Project 2025? Do you think he means what he says when he says he's going to do away with the civil service?
Democracy. Hey, Biden, how did you
Eliminate
get
the
this
Department of Education?
Democratic nomination? Just curious.
We've never been here before. And that's the other reason why you say hand off to another generation. I've got to finish this job. I've got to finish this job because there's so much at stake.
We've had some discussions over the past few days with your press secretary about the question of health exams. And you said you take a cognitive test every day in this job. Are you open to taking another physical or test before the election? Governor Whitmer of Michigan, for instance, said it wouldn't hurt to take a test.
Well, look, two things. One, I've taken 3 significant and intense neurological exams by a neurologist. In each case, is recently this February.
Mind watching.
And they say I'm in good shape. Okay. Although I do have a little problem with my left foot because it's not as sensitive because I broke my foot and didn't wear the boot. But I'm good. I'm tested every single day about my neurological capacity to do decisions I make every day. You talk to my staff, all of you talk to my staff. Sometimes my staff talks a lot. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think you have them telling you that all the major ideas we've undertaken haven't been in part initiated by me. I remember with the staff, I said, I'm going to go to South Korea. We're going to get the chip.
His argument,
what are you doing?
well, he's fine because
I'm gonna get
sometimes he does with
Japan and Korea back together again after essentially having hostilities toward one another since the end of World War II. I'm going to move and see that we can expand it. You know, the only thing age does is help you with it. It creates a little bit of wisdom if you pay attention. And so the point I'm making is,
so that's all age does.
I think it's important that
I'm only 32, and I can tell you,
if the neurologist tells me he thinks I need another exam, and by the way, I've laid every bit of the record out. Hadn't hidden a thing. You ought to ask Trump for his, okay? I laid it all out. And every single day, I'm surrounded by good docs. If they think there's a problem, I promise you, or even if they don't think it's a problem, they think I should have a neurological exam again,
doctors are notorious
I'll do
for
it.
being open. And
no one's suggesting that to me now. And I'll ask you another question. No matter what I did, no one's going to be satisfied. Did you have 7 docs? Did you have 2? Who'd you have? Did you do this? How many times? So I am not opposed if my doctors tell me I should have another neurological exam. I'll do it. But that's where I am. Haley Bull, Scripps.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said you're making decisions on a day-to-day basis when it comes to support for Ukraine. Does that mean you have not closed the door on further considering lifting restrictions for U.S.-made weapons inside Russia? And if I may, your convention is coming up where your delegates are pledged to make you the official nominee. If they have second thoughts, are they free to vote their conscience?
Obviously, they're free to do whatever they want, but I get overwhelming support. Overwhelming support. I won. I forget how many votes I won in the primary. It's overwhelming.
Because you're the only candidate.
Tomorrow, if all of a sudden they show up at the convention, everybody says we want somebody else, that's the democratic process. It's not going to happen.
I went and fought 3 people, and someone went and punched them all unconscious. And so when I went on the mat, I just said I beat 3 people.
I'll end this with this. I served in the Senate a long time. I understand the impetus of candidates running for local office and whether they think the topic they can help them or not. In my state of Delaware, which was a very, at least it was a red state when I started, in terms of where you now talk red and blue. I don't recall most of the Democratic presidents winning my state when I was a candidate. The truth of the matter is I understand the self-interest of a candidate. If they think that, running with Biden atop is going to hurt them, then they're going to run away. I get it. But so far, go and look at the polling data in their states. Look at the in-depth, and by the way,
that's one of the biggest reports.
I think you'd all acknowledge, and you're all experts. I'm not being solicitous about the president. You're experts on this stuff.
It's over. He's lost.
How accurate does everybody think the polls are these days? I can give you a series of polls where you have likely voters, me versus Trump, where I win all the time.
Is he trying to say that polling isn't reliable? That thing that they called Bernie Bros conspiracy theorists for trying to point out?
The unlikely voters vote, he wins sometimes. The bottom line is all the polling data right now, which I think is premature because the campaign really hasn't even started. I mean, it hadn't started in earnest yet. Most of the time, it doesn't start till after September, after Labor Day. So a lot can happen. But I think I'm the best I believe I'm the best qualified to govern. And I think I'm the best qualified to win. But there are other people who could beat Trump too. But it's awful start from scratch. And, we talk about, money raised. We're not doing bad. We got about $220 million in the bank. We're doing well. So with that, you have any want to follow up on any of that you just asked me?
Yes. You earlier explained confidence in your vice president.
Yes.
If your team came back and showed you data that she would fare better against former President Donald Trump, would you reconsider your decision to stay in the race?
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win. Me. No one's saying that. No poll says that.
He's actually insane. Every poll says that. All of them.
Mr. President,
Okay.
This ends tonight's press conference. Thanks, everybody. This concludes.
Respectfully, earlier you misspoke in your opening answer. You referred to Vice President Harris as Vice President Trump. Right now, Donald Trump is using that to mock your age and your memory. How do you combat that criticism from tonight?
Thank you.
Listen to him.
This concludes tonight's press conference. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everyone.
So Biden's, I don't even know. Listen to him. That was weird, guys. Biden is straight up off his rocker. I think he not only had the gaffes you saw, that my favorite at the beginning there was the Vice President Trump bit, where he said that he personally chose Vice President Trump, and that's why they're so good. And he said it twice, I believe. He called them Vice President Trump twice, so it wasn't like a random gaffe. So we had that combined with a lot of lies, actually. He lied a lot. Everything from simple things he didn't need to lie about, which, like him saying he immediately went to Israel. He said that multiple times. He immediately went to Israel after October 7th, when that's factually not true. He sent Antony Blinken over there as his surrogate, which is actually a very weird thing to do when a conflict like that breaks out, to not go there yourself and send your Blinken instead. I remember that because I remember getting that report and thinking that was weird. So there's that first lie. The second lie, obviously, being that he wants to see what Israel is going to do after. They don't want it. He doesn't want them to occupy it, despite Netanyahu, even before October 7th, said that that was his plan, and post October 7th has reiterated that the only way to peace is to occupy Gaza. And we already know what they're doing, because if you follow Status Coup, we actually been covering the pro-Palestine protests here in New York and other places. We covered one or two in New York, plus one in Los Angeles, that all were in front of places that were auctioning off Gaza land. If you guys remember this big news report that all the mainstream media was covering, that showed like, hey, all these pro-Palestine protesters, they're being anti-Semitic because they're protesting in front of a synagogue. You guys remember that? They conveniently left out that they were using the synagogue as a front to auction off land in Gaza before they even had a chance to dig up the dead bodies of children and women and men as civilians. They're already auctioning off the land to Zionists. And so we know what they're doing. They're literally doing it in plain sight, and have admitted to doing so, and are very blatant about doing so. And have hinted that genocide is, if they haven't said it, you can see that they want genocide. Like I mentioned before, the Lancet, which is one of the most trusted medical journals on the planet, come out and said that their estimated death toll is a minimum of 185,000 people that are Palestinian, which is 7 to 9% of the Gaza population. So by definition, that's intent for genocide by every definition I'm at least aware of. And he acts dumb about it. And then he went into a lot of long rambles about Ukraine, which was a little weird. I know he's at NATO and stuff, and Ukraine's joining NATO, but it really feels like he's preparing to maybe step up the conflict there as well. There was questions about him sending more arms there as well. So the sign of a struggling president is they become a lot more warmongery in the hope that that'll save them. So I don't think that's going to work for him, but he's definitely going to be pushing for Ukraine and Israel to continue their wars and stuff, even though we had reports very early on in the Russia-Ukraine war that Biden could have helped with peace talks. And even Zelensky himself complained that Biden and America was not helping enough with peace talks. But don't worry, we're there when they need weapons. Yeah, so that was a pretty good disaster. I would think that us waiting that over 2-hour delay was Biden taking a nap and then getting hopped up on whatever drugs they're giving him, which clearly were wearing off by the end of that conference. But no, it was just as bad as if they should have just done it on time and had him go as is, because it couldn't have been worse than Vice President Trump and all the gaffes and all the straight up lies. And his only answer to wanting to stay in the race was, well, my big boy that says that I gotta finish my presidency, even though I didn't keep. I'm trying to think of any promises he kept from his campaign trail that were at least significant. Outside of, he kept some of them, like nothing will ever change, that he said to his donors and stuff like that. But outside of that, there's nothing he's done that's significant enough for her to be like, well, look at all this stuff I've done. I've created a genocide. I've continued the war in Ukraine. I've stopped a minimum wage from happening. I gave temporary benefits to poor kids and starving kids, only to yank it away before my first term is even over. So he can't even use that as a point to go into the next presidency, because he put an expiration limit on child poverty measures, child starvation measures, and things like that. In addition to, I honestly can't even remember all the terrible things he's done in just a short amount of time. In addition to, as the reporter pointed out, he said during the campaign trail he's going to be transitional president to a younger generation and a one-term president. And he said what changed was he got in and realized he had to do a lot of stuff presidents have to do, which is fixing the economy, dealing with foreign policy. He literally said, well, I had to do a lot of stuff because there was stuff with the economy and foreign policy and stuff like that, which is, what a president is supposed to do. And he had 4 years to literally address any one of those. And instead, we had the highest inflation increases I've seen in my lifetime in a short amount of time. And not only that, they weren't actually inflation. It's price gouging. It was objectively confirmed to be price gouging, not inflation, which could be stopped by, say, the president, or at least hindered a bit. And that's not the case. Oh yeah, a big one was him claiming to be the most pro-union president in history, as he's one of, that I'm aware of, 2 presidents. Him and Reagan are the only ones to directly take a stand and break up a strike. And he did that with the railroad workers. The railroad workers went on strike, and their number one thing wasn't like trying to get extra pay or benefits, although that was part of it, because, we should treat them like humans. Their main issue was safety. Not just for them, for everyone around them, because trains go through communities. And Biden's response was to shut that down and force them back to work. And what happened? Literally less than 2 months later, Norfolk Southern crashed a train into East Palestine that was extremely underregulated, broke a lot of rules that already were existing. And after they did that, then all this other stuff happened after, basically poisoning an entire community of East Palestine and creating long-term health effects that we probably will unfortunately find out the full extent of in the next several years. But that literally happened. And then the media was reporting the train accidents that were happening, which were happening literally several times a week. Well, they always are, but they're reporting it. They were actually reporting it several times a week. And then I think they got bored and stopped. But train crashes never stopped. People dying from that never stopped. But Biden made sure that any safety that would happen would stop, because he's super pro-union. And his reference for being pro-union, by the way, if anyone ever asked him, it's because he showed up in person to the UAW strike, which that was it, and held a sign and did a really quick 2-minute speech. That was it. That's his standard for being the most pro-union president ever.
How was the rest of that train wreck?
Oh, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. You missed some good stuff.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
The highlight was on the onset. Someone had asked him if he believed that Kamala Harris could take over if she ever needed to, and he said, "Yes, of course. That's why I chose Vice President Trump, because I think Trump is the best person to take over for me." And he called Kamala Harris Vice President Trump. And it wasn't until the very end that the reporter forced himself, basically had to force ask that question. I don't think he actually responded to it. No, he didn't, because he said Trump's already
So-
tweeting about this. What are you going to do about this bad publicity? And he said, "Go listen to Trump." That was his response, and then he left.
So he didn't answer or did he say that he's for sure not stepping down?
Yeah, he was very adamant that
Okay.
he has more to do. His response to everything was not to answer the question, was to say, "I need to finish what I started." That was his canned answer, I assume he was told to say, in like
Yeah.
8 different variations.
Wow.
It was
So
fun.
Vice President Trump was his only gaffe, or were there more?
He had a couple small ones, but it was just a lot of making up weird stories. I had gone over, like, he made up that he went to Israel right after October 7th, when that is objectively not true. He sent Anthony Blinken over there, and he didn't visit until a lot later. He lied about, he said the UAW just endorsed him when they endorsed him a long time ago and are currently discussing potentially unendorsing him, I would assume.
He said he's polling far higher.
Yeah. He said
Wow.
Hamas is less popular in the West Bank, when I'm pretty sure they're actually more popular now, ever since the...
That was my question, Jenna. Did democracy win?
He's very adamant he's not going to drop out, though.
Great.
Oh yeah, his reasoning was, "Did you see how many votes I got during the primary? Of course I'm going to go." He said that was his reasoning. He kept saying
The
he'd be good in
non-existent
the Democratic primary.
That's
Yeah,
amazing. That's amazing.
yeah, you got a lot of votes because no one could vote for anyone else, and some states straight up pulled the ability for people to vote at all in it, in addition to the other stuff.
That's incredible, dude. I mean, this whole thing's incredible. Like it's just, oh my God. He kept us waiting for a freaking hour. I couldn't even, I watched the opening 2 minutes. Then I had another work obligation I had to go to. I had an appointment. And Colin held it down on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. And here we are. What's up, everybody, by the way? Good to be back. Good to see you. Shout out to Fly Chomper Fly. Ron was right. He says why he's better than Trump. I don't know what that refers to, but
Oh yeah, his argument was, "Do you want Trump?" That was his other argument.
Oh yeah, like shut up or else you get Trump. Any sentence that starts with Ron was right, I'm all about it. Assuming it's referring to me. What's up, Teresa? How are you? Thank you, Colin. I hope your 7 fur babies are doing okay with all this. Oh yeah, that's right. What is it like? Are you in Inferno out there in Texas? It's pleasant here by the bay.
Yeah, I don't go outside much, luckily, so it's I'm able to handle it. But it's, what was the average? It's averaging between 1 and 115 or so.
Tyler, Jesus, that's nuts. You say that casually, like it's in any way okay. Like, oh yeah, just a nice balmy buck 15. Yeah, that's insanity. I remember one time I was in Austin in the summertime, and it was so hot. I just decided, I was like, I can't do anything before 6 o'clock in the evening. I literally just, like, the person, I was staying with a friend, her apartment complex had a pool. I literally just sat in the pool all day, and then we would go out at night. Like we couldn't do anything during the day. It was just, I don't know how people do it. I really don't. Tyler Hackner, what's up? This was everything I expected it to be. LOL. I'm with you. Lupin Lodge, the motorbike rider in Cincinnati, or not, or Vespa, or was it Vespa? Yeah. What was it? It was something. Motorbike or Vespa. Lupin Lodge. Good to see you. Donato's is the pizza place. Let me make sure of that. Let me confirm the Cincinnati pizza place, because I might be thinking something else, or I might just be misremembering it. Yeah, I think it's Donato's. Donato's was yeah, that's the place. It's a good place. Flock Boy up in Canada. The clock has struck midnight and he's nigh on a pumpkin. The drugs are wearing off. That's probably what happened. How long was it total? What's up, Nikki?
It just ended actually before you.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I timed it. Hugs and love,
quite a bit.
Colin, Ron, and Status Coup. Love y'all. We are doomed. Sigh. I will never forgive the Dim Dems who said Bernie was too old.
Oh yeah.
Oh, gotta love it. Gotta love it. Oh, I don't know how you're doing that. Wow. Buttercup, stay safe, please. Seriously. That sounds dangerous, honestly. Yeah. Don't combust, Colin. Amen to that. All right. So did we do it? Did we get it all?
I
Did I come in just in time for a send off? Were you just going to
Yeah,
chill
yeah.
here indefinitely?
I was just wrapping it up right there.
We're just gonna be like, I don't know what to do. I guess we're just doing this all the time now. Should I play a video game? People like that.
They do.
They do love that. No, they do freaking love that. Well, I mean, I'll let you do the send off if you want to, or we could do it together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll do the little plug here if you guys want to support our coverage here. Like I said, we cover the pro-Palestine protests extensively. There's a little lull in them right now, but John is still covering those whenever they pop up, as well as any other protests. We just published a protest in front of Citibank in New York of fossil fuel protesters who all dressed as like hot dogs and Costco workers to say, if Costco's ethical, they need to drop Citibank. It was pretty interesting, some lively interactions between them and the workers. But yeah, we'll be staying on that type of stuff, and obviously Biden's descent into madness we'll be covering. And yeah, if you could, good.
No, I was just going to say shout out again to all the super chatters. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Samud Sterling. Thank you very much, Double K. Thank you, Desbush Fleisch. Thank you, Teresa, again. Thank you, Social Emotional Learning with Dr. Donnie. Thank you, Teresa, again. Thank you, Lupin Lodge. Thank you, Lupin Lodge. Moped, that's what it was. Thank you, Zainab. Good to see you. Thank you, Macarius. Thank you, Desbush Fleisch again. Thank you, Fly Chomper Fly. Good to see you. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Lupin Lodge. Thank you, Flock Bay. And thank you, Nikki. Thank you guys so much for your support. You help keep this show on the air. If you are able, folks, go to statuscoup.com/join to become a member for as low as $5 a month. You help us stay on the ground with the journalism. You help send John Farina to the Palestine protests. You help Tina cover all the protests that she covers and all the events that she covers. You help send Jordan to Flint. You're helping fund on the ground journalism, because journalism takes resources, it takes finances, and also just running these shows takes a lot of resources and finances. So your support goes a long, long way. You can check out all of my stuff at ronplacone.com. Should have some tour updates soon. Should have some updates on the movie very soon. But in the meantime, subscribe to my podcast, 1000 with Ron Placone, wherever you get your podcast, and on YouTube. And yeah, I think we covered it, Colin.
Yeah, I think that should be everything.
All right, y'all. Peace.